The negotiations. I don't know if you guys saw this, but oh, wow, these were hilarious. Of course, who did we send? And this is going to be important to understand as we sort of unpack the Trump being impeached. We're going to get to that, I promise. We're going to build to it because what's going on with JD Vance and the Iran war is all very important into understanding what they might do here. Of course, we sent JD Vance. JD Vance is the lead negotiator. He is the architect for the peace deal with him. And of course, who? Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. As you can see, yes, I don't know how these two who are not government officials are still showing up to literal war-ending negotiations when they do not even fucking work for the government. Why are you here? This doesn't make sense. Anyway, here's JD Vance. Now, if you guys didn't see, of course, there was the in-person peace negotiations a couple days ago. They didn't go well. If you didn't see this, yes, Iran's delegation walked out of the Switzerland talks, citing Trump's threats as a breach of the June 18th Memorandum of Understanding, which prohibits threats or use of force. And I mean, they literally, guys, got up and walked out of the negotiations right in front of the American delegates. Well, see ya. So that's that's not good. And then they had this to say. They said, don't think that if their threats had any effect, he's talking about the United States, they would not have reached today's state of desperation. So Iran at the negotiations is calling the United States desperate. So that's embarrassing on the world stage for us. And they say, we do not take American threats into account. Iran's chief negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. Okay. Now, and I'm going to show you the Pakistani prime minister just looking real confused when the Iranians got up and walked out.
بحسب السلطات السويسرية هي ستقتصر على اليوم فقط، ولكن سيكون هناك لجان تقنية وفنية بحسب ما أعلنته قطر ستتابع كل الجوانب الأخرى. هذه الجولة.
Just looking a little nervous, huh? Just things are falling apart at the seams. Then Donald Trump decided that this would be a smart thing to say. All right, so it says, just in, Iranian delegation will not continue official meetings with the U.S. until President Trump apologizes for his latest threats. This is how hard Iran is basically, I don't know how to say, bending us over, that they are now just fucking with us and saying things like Donald Trump has to apologize now to Iran for them to continue talks. And then, Donald Trump had said this: Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. I don't think it's Lebanon that's causing the trouble inside of Lebanon. We'll talk about that in a second. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. President Donald J. Trump. And Iran got up, walked out, and said, go fuck yourself. So, yeah. Things are not going well, it turns out. The MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, guys, is not a peace deal. It is a 60-day, let's see if we can figure out how to come to a peace deal. So it is extremely, extremely fragile. We also know that the first clause in the MOU is Israel must leave Lebanon and stop attacking them, which they have not stopped doing since, there's no sense. They just literally haven't stopped. And we all saw the back and forth last week of Donald Trump becoming a tough guy, JD Vance becoming a tough guy, standing up to our greatest ally. Kind of starting to look like, that was all theatrical bullshit. JD Vance is still kind of trying to hold that. But yeah, at the moment, things are not looking good. They are not looking good. Strait of Hormuz is back to being closed after it was open for like a day. And we're going to get to the economy section about why that is so bad. Because Donald Trump came out and admitted literally admitted why you would do this. I have no idea as a world leader at the G7 summit. What we knew here on the channel, and we've talked about, and that was that we only have about 2 weeks of strategic oil reserves left in this country. For those of you who don't know, all right, we actually do stockpile oil, the government does, in case of times of emergency. Well, if you didn't know this, Donald Trump's administration didn't stock up the oil reserves before we started the war. So that was really fucking dumb strategically. And now we have been selling that oil off of the strategic oil reserves this entire time to artificially keep the price of oil not at $7, $8 a gallon. Did you know that? Did you know that's the only reason why gas isn't astronomically higher? Well, we're about out. In about 2-3 weeks, we're out. And so what that means is we will have to get all of our oil off of the global oil market, which means gas prices probably will jump up to what they are in Australia and Japan and Korea and places like that, to $7, $8, $9 a gallon. That's realistic. That's realistically what we're looking at in the next couple months if nothing happens here. So it is actually pretty we are on borrowed time here to get this shit figured out. And that's also why you have Donald Trump agreeing to give Iran $300 billion and lift all sanctions and give them everything in the world they want, because this has to get figured out now. So that's what makes the entire situation so sketchy. We'll get to that once we get to the economy part of the show. There's more to talk about.